Hi there, my name is James Mulvaney. Welcome along to this video review of the Sony HVR-V1E or U, depending on where you're based, Handycam camcorder. Now, this is a full HD, e.g. it can record in 1080 resolution camera. It's used for, internet videos, kind of semi-professional work, and indeed the quality of the video recorded is suitable for television broadcast. So if you're on the kind of lower professional end like we are, this is definitely a camera you may want to consider. Likewise, if you're an enthusiast who wants to use a camera for making independent films or music videos or corporate video, anything like this, this camera is right up your street. And yes, it's expensive. However, as I'm sure you're fully aware if you're watching this video, it's not as expensive as some of the higher end Sony broadcast cameras, which can easily roll into 5 figures. So this is a serious investment, and if you're, especially if you're just getting started making videos for your website, you might be put off by spending the amount of money this camera is. However, what I want to do today is really just outline a few of the pros that I found using this camera in our business, and cons as well, to hopefully allow you to make a bit more of an informed decision if you're thinking about buying a Sony HVR-V1. Alright, so let's first of all take a look at some of the features. Now, I'll explain my position. I'm a business owner, an internet marketer, and I don't know all sorts of intricate details about the technicalities of camera work or photography. So the way I see things is just a very, very basic level. So if you want a camera geek, I'm certainly not your person. However, what I aim to do is just give you an overview of all the features that we use and that I know are important and probably will be very important to you. So first of all, one of my favourite, well, I guess there's a few of my favourite features of this camera, and I've actually just before recording this segment been chatting with Ben, who is our camera guy, getting some of his opinions, and he illustrated something that I hadn't really considered and that we use a hell of a lot, is this screen. Now, first of all, the screen can be really adjusted kind of to almost every angle possible, and you might think, well, this isn't really that important, but believe you me, we've found ourselves using the screen at all manner of different angles on a regular basis. So obviously if we're filming something where there's a camera person behind the camera, we'll use a screen just like this, so you'll be able to see from behind the camera. Very rarely do we use the viewfinder, by the way. We pretty much always use the actual screen to shoot with. However, if we're shooting something from a slightly different angle, for example, we've got a kind of a white background and we set things up against the wall, we'll quite often have the screen facing forward, like so, or sometimes we may have the camera actually facing into the body of the unit. So this screen is kind of handy, and most cameras have a screen like this. Certainly most professional camcorders. A lot of the consumer ones are going the kind of pocket-sized flip cams where the screen is in a fixed position. Obviously you won't get that benefit with them. The second thing I really want to talk about is the zoom. Now, this has got a 20 times zoom on it, and although I guess one of the cons of it is you cannot change the lens is fixed on this camera, it does come with a very, very good lens, and the zoom is really, really smooth, nice and easily controllable using the zoom ring on the front of the camera. But for some reason Sony have also decided to include 2 other zooms as well. So we've got one on the top of the handle here, which can be useful, for example, if you're filming from a low angle, maybe if you're shooting music video and you're holding the camera like this, I guess the zoom is perfectly suited on the top of the handle just there. And then also if you're holding the camera like so, there is also a zoom feature here as well. So 3 zoom controls, maybe a bit overkill. However, I guess all of them do get used from time to time. Another kind of thing to consider when you're purchasing a camera is the weight of them. If you're planning on doing a lot of handheld work, and we've come across this problem, although it's not particularly heavy as per se, it's a fairly small unit, if you're holding a camera up like this constantly for a significant amount of time, it does become a bit of a strain. You can buy shoulder mount devices where you know, it will take some of the strain off of your wrist. But also it can be a little bit hard at times to hold steady, because obviously your arm isn't the best stabilization thing. So a lot of the time we do find ourselves using this on either a tripod or a tripod mounted on wheels like a dolly, so we can move it around for kind of a smooth action. And there's nothing wrong with this. Obviously a lot of the work we do for our kind of corporate promotional videos, it is generally stuff where you're sat down inside. Sometimes we do a bit of outdoor filming, and you know, it does tend to wobble around a little bit. So again, that's just something you may want to consider. There are now entry-level shoulder mount cameras which you can get, which some of them are actually even at a lower cost than this camera, which may improve the stability if you're planning on doing a lot of handheld work. Perhaps if you're, you know, a wedding photographer, you're going out making videos for weddings, you might want to consider a camera with shoulder mount facility just to keep things steady. The next thing to look at is the focus. The focus on here, you know, it hasn't got a huge amount of depth. So if you want to create a really shallow depth of field, and we've actually recently done a tutorial on exactly how to create this style of effect, it's not really that easily achievable using the Sony HVR-V1. As I say, the focus on here pretty much is best, we found, in autofocus mode. So it creates kind of an infinity focus where everything really is in focus. However, maybe if you're doing some really close-up work, the focus may be alright to use, you know, in manual mode. But as I say, most of the time we find ourselves just having the camera in autofocus, and it does focus automatically very, very well. And there's very rarely times where we find shots are out of focus, we have any kind of problems with that. A couple of other features to look at then are the various dials and switches. First of all, we've got a neutral density filter with 2 different levels, which is handy if we're ever filming outside in very bright conditions. We can also manually adjust the exposure or the iris, which is nice again if we're in particularly dark conditions. If we're filming without lighting, for example, you know, we can open the exposure up just to let a bit more light into the camera, or likewise if we want to create kind of a really bleached out effect, we can adjust the exposure manually. Again, you know, these are sort of features you don't really get on consumer cameras, which are really, really handy on professional or semi-professional or prosumer camcorders, just like this one. Okay, so the next stage is sound. Sound is really important when you're making any kind of video, and it can make the difference between a video appearing kind of a bit amateur and rubbish and something looking really clean, polished and professional. And the thing I like about this Sony HVR-V1 is it has really, really good sound recording capabilities by the means of 2 inputs, which you can completely control how they work up here. We've even got independent volume controls, or we can set them in auto mode. And as you can see, we've currently got a shotgun microphone mounted on the camera. We've got 2 XLR inputs, which means we can connect microphones like this one. We also connect, you know, kind of a radio microphone on top, or we can even connect an external sound from a mixing desk, which we've also done in the past as well. So having the flexibility of being able to quite easily put microphones in independently is really good. And again, this is a feature which you don't generally find yourself getting on, you know, more kind of consumer level camcorder. So professional features like this really make the difference, and for us especially, we really like getting decent sound quality, and XLR inputs like this are pretty much vital in order to achieve that. Alright, so to summarize then, would I recommend this camcorder? Absolutely. We've been using this as part of our business strongly for over a year now, and we've shot probably maybe 100 or so videos, productions on it. You know, all of these have been pretty much for our own promotional purposes, including ones just like you're watching now. We've done product reviews, all sorts of things like this. It's a really good camera. I must admit, I am thinking these days of going more digital, in that, you know, this camera still records onto HDV tape. A lot of cameras now record onto SD cards or flash media, which is kind of a bit of an improvement as far as editing. You know, you don't have to wait for the footage to capture onto your computer. However, a lot of production companies still do work in that way, so there's nothing wrong in it at all. If you've got the money to spend on this camera and chances are if you're watching this video, you've probably already really made the decision that you want to go ahead and purchase this, and I'll say absolutely go for it. There's nothing that I regret at all about buying this camera, and I think we've used it extensively in our business, really been happy with the results. Always produces excellent quality video, tons of professional features that allow us manual control over creating the look and feel we want in our videos. Overall, had a great time using it and would strongly recommend it. So this has been the Sony HVR-V1. Thanks for watching. By the way, we've got plenty more video reviews on our website at www.thewebvideo.co. That's thewebvideo.co. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. You know, we've got constantly new stuff coming out all the time about all aspects of online video marketing and product reviews just like this one, etc. Thanks for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your video endeavors. Bye for now.